Hello everyone, I'm back with the 3A non-select bracket predictions, and let's just hit the ground running. So first off, Grant, they've traditionally struggled, but they've had their best season in a while. Westlake, they had the coach that came over from Welsh a few seasons ago after Welsh made a couple deep runs in 2A. It looks like they're starting to get things together there. And with that said, I'm going to be taking Westlake here because, looking over the results, I'm just more confident in this Westlake team than this Grant team. And moving along to the next one, Patterson and Donaldsonville. Now, a few weeks ago, Patterson beat Donaldsonville in OT, and Donaldsonville hasn't been playing great as of late. However, this is high school ball, and the playoffs have a way of just suddenly remedying that like that. So with that said, I'm taking Donaldsonville to win by a touchdown in this one. I could be wrong, but Patterson they've had their best season in a while, but something just feels off about it. But anyway, moving on to the next game, Sumner and West Feliciana. Sumner finished second in a meh district, while West Feliciana had to deal with the toughest district in 3A. Routinely, it turns out underseeded teams, and West Feliciana is no exception. I see them moving on to face this Iowa team. Side note, if you're looking for a big upset in this bracket, I don't think it happens, but Bossier just might have the team speed to pull it off. I just don't see it. I don't. Bruley and Iota, they're both about 500. Bruley's another team from this same West Feliciana district, and the difference here is they have a home game. And, they play good defense, and, they're a tough team from the Baton Rouge area. I think they beat Iota. Now, I'm going to skip over this one because this is another really interesting game. I'm going to move on to this Lutcher and Carroll game. Lutcher finished second in their district to an Edie White team that was able to contain their quarterback in the run game. Carroll has been really up and down. They played this Union team right here to a couple touchdowns and played a good 5A squad in Washita to a 3-point game. That said, I don't think they're able to keep Lutcher's QB under wraps in the run game, and once he gets in the open field, there's not a lot of guys in the state of Louisiana who are going to catch him. So Lutcher moves on. Finally, Erath and Wassman. Wassman, they've been okay this year, but they've struggled against decent competition. Erath has this one receiver who's really been going off. And I think Erath wins this game and moves on to a rematch with Abbeville, who is in the same district as they are. Now, just checking to make sure I didn't save any other matchups. Bogalusa and Jennings. Jennings, of course, has Trevor Etienne, who you all probably remember his older brother, Travis, who's now with the Jaguars. Unfortunately, he's hurt right now. Bogalusa, of course, they have Coach Crutchfield, who is most famous for those runs right after Katrina with those South Plaquemine teams. But this Bogalusa team has some real speed at the quarterback position. He's a real playmaker. Jennings, they've had their ups and downs this year, but they seem to be riding the ship at the right time. Neither of these teams played that great of defense this year, and it's probably going to be a first to 50 wins. They might even both cross 60 in this game. So that said, I think Trevor Etienne delivers Jennings a win in the first round here. So now moving on to the second round, and let's see. For some quick predictions, I think Sterlington beats Westlake and beats them pretty easily. You know, Sterlington's been known as a pound the rock program for years, but the last couple of years they've started to really develop a passing game too. And their defense has been stingy this year. Okay, this one I'm gonna save. Donaldsonville, like I said, has been up and down this year, and Church Point is just solid defensively, and you know, they play good offense too. This is another one I'm gonna save for later. Coming down here, a lot of these second round matchups are going to be interesting. This one, they played, it was 38-15. Abbeville is a team that in their second year under coach Moy, I think it is, he runs an I formation offense. They carry a fullback. They're going to run the ball at you to set up the play action pass. And it's been really effective. So I think Abbeville wins and moves on to the quarters. Now, a lot of games to go through. First of all, the talent in this game is palpable. I mean, Madison Prep has a quarterback committed to Louisiana's Raging Cajuns and Zion Chris. Quincy Smith is I think he's committed to LSU, and if not, he's being heavily pursued by them. St. James, they have a receiver in Shaz Preston who's committed to LSU, but that may be waning. But even if it does, then the next school of choice is another SEC school in Mississippi State. I'm sure they have some other recruits that I'm just not thinking of at the moment. That said, considering that one of their big recruits is a quarterback like Chris, I'm taking Madison Prep to win by a couple touchdowns. Now, Iowa is a team that, you know, they played a Lake Charles College prep team that they're ineligible for the playoffs, but they have, probably even more speed than West Feliciana. But, you know, Iowa, they lost that game. Now, it was by a point, but they still lost. That said, West Feliciana does not have LCCP speed. I think Iowa wins this game, but only by like a couple touchdowns. You know, for a 20v4 game, you'd think if the 4 is going to win, it might be by more than that. St. Martinville and Bruley. St. Martinville, I got to see them. Now, this is back in scrimmage, but they have a lot of team speed on offense, and they have a good line to go with it. Now, they've played a really tough slate of games, and they took a couple of bumps and bruises in the regular season, but I think it's going to pay off here in the postseason because they've seen better versions of teams like Bruley. And, you know, whenever they run into that, it'll be like, okay, we've been here. We can do this. And I think this is a close game, but St. Martinville pulls it out by a touchdown. Jennings and Lutcher, a lot of points are going to be scored in this one, but long story short, Trevor Etienne does his best, but in the end, it's too much of Lutcher's quarterback just running down the sideline. Finally, Gina and Union Parish. Yeah, and Union has a running back committed to LSU. Gina doesn't have any notable recruits. They don't have any Jahray Jenkins type players this year. But the thing about them is, so they're 9-1 on the season, and their one loss is to a 4A state contender by 3 touchdowns. But it was a game where they were competitive with them well into the third quarter. Like, this Gina team is no team to sleep on. Now, and all that said to say, I think this comes down to like whoever scores last, because it's gonna be within a touchdown either way. But I think Trey Holly's the difference, and Union moves on to face Abbeville in the quarters. Now, this right here, this is going to be state championship game level football. Again, I've already mentioned Sterlington plays really good, solid defense. They can run the ball and pass the ball. Madison Prep, they have the advantage in athleticism. They're better coached this year than in years past. I mean, this is like Roman Coliseum matchup of the barbarians type stuff. This, like, if you have a chance to go, you don't want to miss this. Which is why I'm gonna save it for the final pick. Here, again, this is gonna be a good game. Iowa with 1 loss in the year, Church Point unbeaten. Both play solid country football. In the end, I give Church Point the edge. They as a program have the playoff experience. Their coach, John Craig Arsenault, it's just been making deeper and deeper runs lately. Here we got St. Martinville and Lutcher. And for the 3rd round in a row, Lutcher is in a high-scoring game. But in the end, they both have speed in the backfield. But St. Martinville has the better passing attack from what I've seen. And with that factored in, I think St. Martinville wins this one by a touchdown late. Now these two teams, this is going to be old school football. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, and mix in a few passes. But I already mentioned, Union has an LSU committed running back. I think that's the difference. And they move on to the semis. And what's going to be a great year for Abbeville. I mean, just last year, they were in Coach Moy's first year, they were the 28th seed, and even making the playoffs was an accomplishment. Now they're ranked 2nd, and I have them in the quarters. Watch out for them going forward. Now, Sterlington, Madison Prep. I already built this one up. Very evenly matched. Whoever I pick, I could be wrong, and it could be the other one wins. I think Madison Prep goes up to Sterlington and comes out victorious, setting up a rematch of the semifinals from last year, in which Madison Prep won this one 24-22. This is a rematch, but not nearly as exciting. I mean, they played each other last year and Union won 50-0. This year, I don't think that's going to be quite the case. And while Trey Holly, I truly believe, goes off in this game, I don't think he does quite enough. St. Martinville moves on to the state championship game. Hold on. St. Martinville moves on to the state championship game, avenging a blowout loss from last season. Coach Spat loses his temper in the postgame like usual when he loses. And moving on to this one, Church Point and Madison Prep. And this is a game I think is going to be another down to the wire close game, but I think once again Madison Prep pulls out victory in this game. And while Madison Prep doesn't have the opportunity to 50-0 Union again, I think they beat St. Martinville pretty handily in the championship game and win state once again in 3A. And so there you have it, Madison Prep, your defending 3A non-select champs, win again in my bracket. So yeah, that's about it.